Hey, Stewart's Chapel. Today is January the 17th, Monday, January the 17th, and we're right here. A little gratitude. We're at number 12 of the little foxes. Now, you need to understand this is my numbering. There may be 100 little foxes. There may be, in your thinking, only 3 or 4. Okay? These are the ones that I have battled in my own life and that I have helped others battle. Today we'll be looking at the little fox, a little gratitude. There's tons of verses. I thought about Psalms 107. The whole chapter deals with God saying, "Oh, that men would give me thanks." So gratitude, saying thanks to God, evidently is something that God desires, but also something that's rare. I want to look, though, at Romans chapter 1, verse 21. Now, there's tons of truth in this section, especially in this chapter. We're looking at this little fox known as a little gratitude. Verse 21 of chapter 1. Because although they knew God, they did not glorify Him as God, nor were they thankful, but became futile in their thoughts, and their foolish hearts were darkened. Although they knew God, they chose not to glorify Him, and they chose not to give Him thanks. There was very little gratitude. I'm going to share a story with you, and I got a feeling that my story, for those that are about my age and maybe even younger, this was a common thing for you. My mother was from North Carolina. She would be called a Southern Belle. Her family were pretty well to do there in North Carolina. And so my mother had some expectations that carried over from her raising and her culture. And those expectations were also expected of me and my siblings. It was not unusual that my mother would have to remind me of those cultural expectations. I grew up in Illinois, and therefore I'm often labeled as a Yankee. I don't know whether I was a Yankee or not, but I would fully agree that the culture in and around Chicago is very, very different than the rural North Carolina or the southern part of North Carolina and South Carolina, or even here in Tennessee. So, the words "thank you" were not common among my peers, but my peers did not have the mother that I had. Their mothers mostly were from right there, and so culturally they had grown up, and just saying thank you was not the thing. I mean, that didn't mean that you weren't thankful, you just didn't express it through words. So over and over again, throughout my young life, I would hear my mother say, "Now what are you going to say? What are you going to say?" And I knew after hearing it for a long time. I also learned that you never said to my mother, "What am I supposed to say?" Because there was an expectation that I knew what her expectation was. So what was I supposed to say? And what I was supposed to say was, "Thank you. Thank you." As time goes on, that northern Illinois culture continues to fight against me. It is a fox that I fight against. Being able to just simply say, "Thank you, thank you, thank you." This little fox, though, is more than just the expression of thank you. Have you ever, let me finish the story. There were times when I said thank you, not from a grateful heart. What? Yes, there was times as a child and probably a teenager that I said thank you, not from a grateful heart. There were times when I said thank you out of a fearful heart. I was fearful of the consequences that I would receive from my mother because I didn't say thank you. I don't think God wants us to say, give Him thanks because of our culture. I don't think He wants us to give Him thanks out of fear of the consequences. This little fox is able to be tamed the same way this one is. Remember, the damage that the tongue does comes from where? The heart. The damage that this one produces also comes from the heart. When the heart becomes thankful, the mouth becomes thankful. But when the heart is not thankful, the mouth rarely follows suit. When we get our hearts to a point of gratitude or a state of awe at who God is and what He has done, the more time we reflect and understand the depth of His love, this one comes easy. This fox begins to win when you and I take for granted what God has done for us. May you and I be grateful this week. Love you, Stuart Chapel.